Hey everybody, I'm Samurai Sam. This is episode 2 of Nintendo 64. I'm going to go through them game by game and tell you a little bit about each one like I've been doing. Let's start out with Beetle Adventure Racing. I think this is kind of an arcadey racing game. I've only played it like a couple times, but I hear it's really good. I played it. It seems pretty good. The controls seem good. Haven't played it that much, but someday I will. I keep, the ultimate phrase of this series of videos. Someday. Blast Corp's kind of the same thing. This is a game by Rare, one of the most prolific... This is Rare, right? I think it is. Anyway, one of the most prolific N64 developers, if I'm remembering right. And this is a game all about blowing stuff up. It's demolition and it's got groovy music and stuff, and it seems like a cool game. I haven't played it too much, but yeah, it's one I don't really hear people talk about that much. Actually, maybe just not on my circle of the retro gaming world. But yeah, the opinion on that game is very good, so I will check it out sometime. I tend to forget about it myself. Body Harvest. This is a game that involves, I think it's like a third-person shooter. And I think a lot of the enemies are like mutant insects or something like that. Seems like a decent game from what I've checked out. But again, it's another one of those I just haven't really played. Why do I do this to myself? Bust a Move 99. The reason why I own this game is because this is, as far as I know, one of... Well, I don't know if it's the only, but it's one of very few Bust a Move games that's 4-player. And I'm surprised that there aren't more of them that are 4-player. So I picked it up. Fortunately, the 4-player is a little bit underwhelming when I actually tried it, but it's cool that it's on there. And I do like Bust a Move very much. I've already talked about it a little bit. We've already seen at least one Bust a Move game. I think maybe only one, but yeah, I like the series a lot. Castlevania Legacy of Darkness. This is actually, in a way, kind of an update to the previous Castlevania on 64, which I don't have. And they, I guess, improved things a little bit with this, had some new content or something. It's a 3D action game. It's not really that much like the other Castlevanias that are most famous. And public opinion is that it's generally pretty good. I haven't really played it too much to give my own opinion. I probably wouldn't think it's that great. I don't know. But I am interested in checking it out, if for no other reason, just to, experience another Castlevania game. It is a series I do like quite a bit. Here is Clayfighter 63 1/3. Now, this is a 2D fighting game, not actually a 3D. Well, actually, sort of it's 3D. I guess you could call this one 2.5D, probably. 2.5D fighting game. And it's very comical. I really like the humor. They poke fun at a lot of fighting games and... just things in general, and I like that a lot. Gameplay is kind of meh, but it's the one game, with a comedic game like this, I can kind of let that slide more than I would otherwise. So I do kind of like this game. And then we have coming up, Clayfighter The Sculptor's Cut. This was a Blockbuster exclusive game back in the day, and this has. Well, it's not strictly better than 63 1/3. It's kind of an alternate version. It has new characters in it, but I want to say there's some stuff missing from this version. I think you can't, strafe back and forth, although that wasn't really that great of a mechanic to begin with. I forget if there are characters missing from this one or not. I think there's not, but I want to say, it's not definitively better, but overall it is better, in my opinion, than 63 1/3. And, yeah, probably the best thing they added, though, is a really catchy theme song when you first boot up the game. I really like that a lot. Yeah, it's a good game to break out with a friend if you want a little laugh. Conkers Bad Fur Day, one of my biggest guilty pleasure games. Now, this is a game by Rare, back in kind of the young and popular days of South Park, when adult humor, gross, inappropriate humor was popular, and this game really takes it and runs with it. And I have to admit, I'm not really into that sort of humor all that much. This game has a lot of toilet humor and stuff like that, and naughty words, and granted, often censored, but I have to admit, I do find this game very, very funny at times. Granted, part of it is because I played it when I was a young teenager, and I was at the perfect age to enjoy that stuff, so for me, maybe it's a little bit nostalgia. But I do have a little bit of a soft spot for Conkers Bad Fur Day, as offensive as it may be. And the gameplay is alright. There are times when it's a little frustrating, but sometimes it is genuinely a fun platformer. Here we have Dr. Mario 64. This is... I think this is a version of Dr. Mario that's not really talked about that much, but it is quite good, I think. I haven't played it a ton, but I played it enough to know that it's good. Yeah, it's got a story mode in it, and it's got a up to 4-player multiplayer, which is really probably the main reason to get this. Definitely fun if you got 3 friends to play with, absolutely. It doesn't really mess with the core gameplay that made Dr. Mario good in the first place, so yeah, in my opinion, it's a thumbs up. Here's Excitebike 64. This is... definitely a 3D game. Not really that much, I don't think, not that much like the original Excitebike. I mean, it is also a racing game, of course. I played this one some back in the day with my cousins when they had it and were really into it. But that was a long time ago. I haven't really played it very much in my adulthood. Seems like a decent game, probably if you're into dirt biking or things like that, or racing games, is probably one worth checking out. Here's Extreme G. This is another game back from my younger days. High-speed racing game like FZero. Actually, I talked about Extreme G2 in the previous video. High-speed racing game, you have like weapons, so kind of like Wipeout in that regard. FZero and Wipeout, it's in that vein of futuristic racing games, non-traditional racing games, and it's pretty cool. Very fast game, and I haven't played a lot in my adulthood. I played it in my youth, and I wasn't very good at it, but I definitely liked the game. So yeah, definitely one to check out if you like racing games. 64 in general is pretty good for racing games. It has a ton of them. FZero X. So I've already talked about this in the previous episode. But this is the American version. Wait. I have it complete, and this is my original cartridge, isn't it? Yeah. So actually, I have the loose cartridge over here, and I have the box copy over there. And then I have a Japanese box copy over there as well. I have so much FZero X. I think this is the original copy I had from back in the day. It has my old save data on it and everything. So that's why I have that here. FIFA 99. It's a soccer game. It's considered a good soccer game, I believe. I haven't played too much of it, but yep, everybody knows FIFA. It's one of the most prominent soccer franchises in the world, for good reason. Flying Dragon. This is a fighting game that has a kind of unique array of modes, if I remember right. I want to say there's like a creative fighter or like edit a fighter kind of thing going on here. It's 3D fighter, and seems interesting. I don't know how much I'd really like it. I played it a little bit fairly recently, but yeah, probably one. It's kind of an interesting game if you like fighting games. Probably worth checking out. Ooh, here's a good one. Goemon's Great Adventure. This is part of the Goemon series, also known as Ganbare Goemon, also known as Mystical Ninja starring Goemon. And this is a side-scroller game, actually 2.5D, kind of like Klonoa, things like that. And I really, really, really enjoyed this game. I love the humor, I love the gameplay, just really liked everything about this game. It's got multiplayer too, which is cool. And yeah, I think this is probably my very favorite Goemon game of the whole series. Highly recommended. Yeah, Goemon's Great Adventure. Check it out. GoldenEye 007. Game probably needs no introduction. One of the most, probably the first really big console first-person shooter by Rare. And I played it back in the day, multiplayer. First-person shooters have never really been like my thing. I did have fun with GoldenEye, even though I was never really very good at it. Today I find it not the best game to go back to. Especially since like I'm not that big in the genre to begin with. I mean, it's a little bit nostalgic to go back to GoldenEye, but yeah, I mean, if you're really into first-person shooters, definitely check it out. If nothing else, just for just how significant it is, how big of a deal it was when it came out, just to be acquainted with it. If you're not really that into first-person shooters, I say just skip it, know what it is. But yeah, GoldenEye definitely deserves a spot in my collection. Hey, You Pikachu. This is a game that I actually don't really like that much. I mean, in part because, granted, this game is definitely made for, like, younger children. Oftentimes, Nintendo games are made for everybody, stuff to appeal to young kids and to adults. This one is really just made kind of just for the younger children. Basically, you use the N64 microphone, and you give Pikachu commands to go and, like, interact with the environment and do all kinds of cutesy little things. And it's just, to me, it's just, there's not that much to it. Nothing really that special, that interesting in it. But, you know, if you're a kid and you're crazy about Pokemon, you'll probably have a good time. International Superstar Soccer 98. I know this game has a very good reputation. A friend of mine who's not really that into sports games said that it's a really great game, so that speaks volumes to me. Actually, I don't know if this is really that worth going back to with newer soccer games. Yeah, I wish I could say more about soccer games in general. I really should grab a soccer game and play it more. And just to I don't know, I'm an American, and there are other sports that come before soccer for me. So it's usually not in the forefront of my mind, but I do genuinely have interest in really giving a shot to a soccer game or two. Really good one. And I know this is one of the better ones. Maybe this will be the one. I don't know. But I haven't done it yet, sadly. Here's Major League Baseball featuring Ken Griffey Jr. Actually, let me see. Actually, not going to talk too much about this one, because what I'm really going to talk about is the next one. Ken Griffey Jr. Slugfest. This is a game that I got for I think, was it my 10th birthday or my 11th birthday? I don't remember, but I've had it ever since. So I played a lot of this game because it was like my only 3D baseball game for a long time. And I enjoy it. I don't think it's really that spectacular of a game. You don't really need to go back to it now in the year 2020. But back in the day, yeah, I had a lot of fun with this game. I liked how the announcer called out names, and if you create a baseball player with names of players that already exist, then he'll call out that name too. And I thought I got a kick out of that. And it's pretty solid baseball game, but nothing really too spectacular. And the previous game I showed you, Major League Baseball, is like from the year before this game. It's very similar to this game in a lot of ways. And I haven't really played the previous one that much because I haven't really had it that long, actually, to be honest. But yeah, a game that has a lot of nostalgia value for me personally, so that's why it's in the collection. Killer Instinct Gold. This is a game... Actually, I've played the first Killer Instinct a lot more than this game. This is another game that I played like when I was younger because my cousins had it, and I've never really been very good at it. I probably should really try, but I do like the graphics and the style of this game for sure. It's got like that kind of that combo system where you kind of dial a combo sort of when you know, like he's put in like a sequence of special moves and you do a combo, and your opponent though can do a combo breaker. But yeah, I do like the characters in this and the moves and everything. It's very cool. Not like one of my favorite fighting games, but a good one. Here's one I knew I've been anticipating getting into this one. Kobe Bryant in NBA Courtside. Now, just ironically, this happened to be the next video for me to film. This is the day that Kobe Bryant has passed away in a tragic helicopter accident. What an awful tragedy that was. My heart and prayers go out to his family and all those affected by the loss in any way. Really, like the whole country that cares anything at all about sports. But, yeah, that being said, I did actually fire this up recently because I was going through all my 64 games, and it seemed like a pretty solid basketball game, and it's going to be interesting. Like, people are going to probably remember this game a lot more fondly and with it in a different light now that Kobe's gone. Boy, that's sad. I did play this a little bit when I was younger, I think. Well, I know my cousins had it. I didn't play that much. It does seem like a quality basketball game. I'm not sure if it's really worth going back to unless you really want basketball on your 64, but... yeah, this one's staying in my collection for sure, especially now that Kobe is, I don't really want to go harp on that all that much. Lode Runner 3D. Lode Runner is a classic game that involves, it's kind of Pac-Man-ish, where you're trying to avoid bad guys in a maze, and you're trying to, you're trying to collect everything in this, like all the treasure in the stage, I think. But this is Lode Runner 3D. This is in 3D. So... I haven't played this one a lot, but I believe it's pretty much what it says on the label, Lode Runner in 3D, and from what I can tell, this is a pretty good version. I need to play it more. I say that so much. Madden 2001. Again, Madden's the most decorated, most famous American football series in the world, and this is, I don't know, I guess I just felt like I should have like one of the good ones on 64, and so I grabbed this one. I kind of like the blue cart. I haven't really played it that much. Probably not too much worth going back to this particular year of Madden now, but it is interesting, somewhat interesting to me to go back to like these retro sports games and kind of see what the state of sports games was at that time and see like the names of the players who were playing in that day. It's part of the appeal to me for collecting like the old sports games. Mario Party. Now we're getting to these three games. Mario Party 1. I remember when I first saw this game, I was really impressed with it, like back in the day when someone I know had it. You probably know what Mario Party is. Up to 4 players can play. If you don't have players, and you play with the computers instead. And it's basically like a board game where you're going around trying to collect coins and collect stars. And after every turn, you play a mini game to try and get more coins. And it's a lot of fun. It's a really great party game, as you would expect. And it's got a lot of Mario charm to it. A lot of fun mini games with a lot of variety. Mario Party 1, though, is kind of infamous for having a lot of mini games that were really hard on your joystick. Like you have to rotate the joystick like crazy, and it really hurts your thumb, and a lot of people had problems with that. So that's an unfortunate thing about this one. So probably this one is not really worth going back to, especially when there's so many other ones, like Mario Party 2, for example. I had a box copy of this years ago, and I got rid of it because I felt like I didn't like the game that much. I don't know what was wrong with me. I was really stupid. I don't know. That was one of the dumbest things I've ever done as a collector. But yeah, Mario Party 2 is actually really good, and they take a lot of the games from the first one, but they didn't keep like the games that broke everybody's thumbs, I believe. So this game's really good. I've enjoyed playing this with friends every now and then, and great game. Highly recommended it for 64, as long as you have people to play with. And really, I mean, who doesn't like Mario Party? Come on. Mario Party 3, this is actually the Mario Party, this was the only one I had for a long time, actually. I got this one when it came out, and I didn't have the first two at that point. So I played a ton of this game, and unlocked all the mini games. Pretty much, didn't quite 100%, it became really, really close, and still maybe I will someday. But yeah, love this game. Love the dual maps that they introduced, were specifically for 2 players, and it has like an entirely different gameplay mechanic, which involves recruiting minions and stuff, and it's fun. And really like this game. This is also just the second game ever to have Waluigi in it. We'll get to the first one in a little bit. Highly recommended. Mario Party 2 and 3. Maybe not 1 so much these days, unless you really want to see all of them. Here is the first game Waluigi ever was in. Mario Tennis. It kind of created so Wario would have a doubles partner. And Mario Tennis is a game that I did play a little bit when I was younger. Haven't played it too much. I actually really haven't played this one as much as a lot of other Mario games on 64. But it's a solid tennis game. Nothing too crazy. Like there are different powers that the different characters have, but it's nothing too over the top. I think they took that a little bit further in the GameCube sequel, which we'll get to. But yeah, definitely a good game. I guess I don't have too much else to say about it. It had connectivity with the Game Boy Color Mario Tennis, which again we'll get to, which is pretty cool because you in that one you could raise characters, level them up and stuff, and then transfer them to the 64 game and play with them there. I thought that was really cool. Mike Piazza Stray Zone. This is a baseball game that I have nostalgia value for because I played it when my cousins had it when I was younger. And, it's not really anything that special. One thing I do like about it is that you can, edit all the teams and all the players. And so I find that kind of amusing. So I enjoyed doing that back in the day. I'm not sure if I would spend the time on it now, but I did like that. You can edit, their uniforms and stuff. Probably not worth going back to, though. For me, it's just a nostalgia piece. Here's Mission Impossible, another little bit of a nostalgic thing because I played it a couple times when I was a kid and never forgot it for some reason. I don't think I've ever actually saw the movie Mission Impossible, believe it or not. Yeah, if you like the movie, then this is probably worth checking out. I don't know, I might not ever actually play this one. I really remember the first level for some reason, the first couple levels of this from 1 or 2 times when I played it as a kid. And for some reason, I don't know, the game just always had nostalgia for me. So, this cart, I got it for free, and, I've always held on to it. So, yeah, why not? Mortal Kombat 4. This is not one of the best Mortal Kombat games. It's kind of, I don't even know if I would call it 2.5D, because, you can't sidestep or anything, but it is 3D graphics. The combo system is definitely worse than MK3, which is unfortunate. But there are some there are a couple of the new characters in this are pretty cool. I like Shinnok and Quan Chi. I almost meshed their names together. I do like Mortal Kombat for sure. I do enjoy this for what it is, but it's definitely not one of the best Mortal Kombat games. And even then, the Dreamcast version of this called Mortal Kombat Gold is better. But I do enjoy Mortal Kombat 4. And here is Mortal Kombat Trilogy. Now, this is kind of a weird version of the game because it's missing some content, but it's got some content the other versions don't have. So, for example, you can't play as a couple of the boss characters. You can't play... There's a couple characters that aren't in this. I forget who they are, but you can play as Sub-Zero with his moves from the unmasked version and the masked version combined into one character, which I think is pretty cool. So you can use the Ice Puddle and the Ice Clone attack in one character. There's also something called Ramper Combat, if I'm remembering that right, where your character will continually morph into all the other characters, and that really doesn't work on a CD-based system because loading times, but it works in this version. The downside is that this version has severely, the audio is pretty bad in this version. They had to really cut it back because it's cartridge audio and it's a cartridge and not CD audio. But still, if you like MK, this version is kind of unique and so, in my opinion, worth checking out. Especially if you have a friend to play with, because Ramper Combat is pretty wild. Mystical Ninja starring Goemon. This is another wonderful game starring Goemon. And this is kind of a Zelda-ish game. Kind of like a 3D adventure. You go around, there's a few dungeons and secrets to find and stuff, and there's characters to switch between, and it's a lot of fun. The one thing I would say, 2 main flaws I have with it are the beginning of the game is a little slow to get going, and also it feels a little too short. I felt like this could have benefited from having 1 or 2 more dungeons than it has, but it is definitely a very wonderful experience. Really like some of the humor in this game. And this game actually has a laugh track, which I think is very amusing for some reason. But yeah, definitely check out Mystical Ninja starring Goemon. You won't regret it. NBA Hang Time. This is a sequel to NBA Jam, and a very good sequel to NBA Jam at that. It kind of keeps everything that made NBA Jam great, pretty much. And it's got some new modes, it has a creative player thing and some kind of single player mode. I haven't actually played this one that much, but I know it's really good. I have played it with a friend at least once. And this is a particularly good version of it. The PS1 version is not so good. And the Super Nintendo version is also pretty good, but not as good. This is the home console version to get. Definitely check it out if you like NBA Jam. NFL Blitz 2001. NFL Blitz is arcade American football game by Midway, and they are very unrealistic. Definitely very much they embrace the arcade kind of fantasy gameplay. And it's fun, fast-paced action. I've never actually played Blitz too much. I played with a friend pretty recently. But I do want to play Blitz a little bit more. I can't really comment on whether this is like one of the best versions of Blitz that there is or not. But probably the Dreamcast versions of Blitz are the best ones, I would think. But yeah, it's still fun, even if it's not the best version or not, whether or not, I don't know. It's still a cool game for sure. Here's Ogre Battle 64, a sequel to Ogre Battle on the Super Nintendo. I tried Ogre Battle 1 on PS1, and I didn't actually care for it that much. This is kind of more the same, but yeah, I'm willing to give this one a shot. This is one of few RPG games. Well, you could kind of. This is not a traditional like Final Fantasy style RPG. It's kind of like a RTS in a way. But it's an interesting game. I definitely have interest in trying this one out, giving it a shot. I'm not sure if I'll really like it or not, but yeah, it's a rare RPG with a good reputation in the 64's library, so I grabbed it when I had a good chance to get it for a reasonable price, and someday I will try it out. Paperboys, this is one that I played when I was younger, because my cousins had it and stuff, and it's a successor to the arcade game, of course, the classic Paperboy arcade game, where you drive down the street and try to throw newspapers into people's houses, and there's all kinds of crazy cartoony obstacles that get in your way and stuff. And this version is not rated very highly, but I'm kind of amused by it. Like, to me, it doesn't have to be a great game. I just have to be amused by playing it. And this one has a little bit of nostalgia value for me. And when I played it fairly recently, I thought it was kind of amusing. Like, I think it's probably worth having in the collection. Pilotwings 64. This was also a launch title like the original on Super Nintendo. It kind of designed to show off what the system can do. Kind of like a simulator for a bunch of different, like, I don't know, flight things, gliding, air-related ways of transportation. I don't know. I never really played the Pilotwings games all that much, but I felt like this was worth having at the very least just because it was that other launch title for 64 alongside Mario 64. At some point I'll check it out and see what it's all about. Pokemon Puzzle League. I absolutely love this game because, I was a huge fan of Tetris Attack on the Super Nintendo. And this is really more the same. It's hardly any different than that game, honestly. The only thing it really adds is the 3D mode where you can like rotate around and there's blocks that fill up a cylinder instead of just a 2D plane. Otherwise, it's like exactly the same game. I think the music is a little bit worse than the Tetris Attack on Super Nintendo. So I personally have a little more of a soft spot for Tetris Attack. Also, this one lacks 4-player, which I think is a big missed opportunity. They would correct themselves on that in Nintendo Puzzle Collection on GameCube. But it's still a freaking great game. I love it. I will beat you on it any day of the week. Pokemon Snap, another game that I played a lot when I was younger. This game has a distinction of being like one of the oldest active save files from my collection. Like, I created a save file for this, I want to say, in 1999. It's been literally over 20 years. I don't know if I have like an active save file since then. I do have cartridges that I had for Super Nintendo before that, but I think the saves on those cartridges might be newer than this one, because, the ones before got erased for one reason or another. But yeah, this is a game where you take pictures of Pokemon and try to take the best possible picture. And there's secrets and ways to unlock new areas and stuff. And yeah, it's good fun. I've already pretty much taken the best photos that I probably will ever take. So I don't know if I'll really go back to this one all that much. But definitely, how many times can I say definitely? I just keep saying the same things on these over and over again. I don't know if anybody's watching. Why are you still watching? I'm just so repetitive. But yeah, I definitely like Pokemon Snap. Pokemon Stadium I already talked about in the previous video. This is actually my original cartridge, and the other one I got like the box for it like later with an additional cartridge, and so I just keep this cartridge around, kind of for storage purposes actually, because like I back up some of my Pokemon so they don't get erased. It's nice to have them stored in different locations so they don't get erased. Pocket Monster Stadium 2. This is the Japanese version of Pokemon Stadium 1, which we have here. Actually, the reason why I have this is a store near my house had it for cheap, so I bought it. And there's a couple cups in this that are different than the American cups. So I think, in my opinion, that makes it worth playing, or worth having, for me anyway. I haven't actually played through those cups yet, but I think it's cool that they're on there. Yeah, not much else to say about that. And then Pocket Monster Stadium 2. Well, actually, no, that's not what it is. It's Pocket Monster Stadium Kin Jin, which is gold and silver. And this is the Japanese version of Pokemon Stadium 2. And, I just happened to come across someone who was selling it, so I'm like, yeah, why not? And I like to do the Challenge Cup in Pokemon Stadium 2, which I talked about in the last video. And maybe at some point I'll have fun doing Challenge Cup in a foreign language, in, the challenge that comes with that. This is kind of like a new way to play Pokemon Stadium 2. So, yeah, that's all I really have to say about that. Now, here's Shadowgate 64. This is a game, like a first-person puzzle-ish game, like adventure maybe. I don't know the best way to classify this game. I haven't played it a lot. I played it just a tiny bit just to kind of see what it was all about. I think public opinion is generally a little bit negative on this game, but some people do like it. Yeah, maybe I'll give it a shot sometime. It does actually have a Spanish translation on it, which is cool. I'm actually learning Spanish, so I do have kind of an interest in trying out games with Spanish translations. So maybe I'll check that out at some point as a Spanish practice tool. Snowboard Kids. This is a terrific game that I played a lot when I was younger, and I've played it a decent amount years later as well. Kind of like, think of Mario Kart snowboarding, and you kind of get the general idea of what this game's all about. Actually, I already talked about Snowboard Kids Plus, I believe, on the PS1. So, yeah, I've already talked a little bit about this. This is better than the PS1 version. Great 4-player game. Highly recommended if you like Mario Kart and want to try something a little different. And then there's Snowboard Kids 2, which I haven't played as much as Snowboard Kids 1, but this is kind of more of the same, and it's really good. What else can I say? There's a boss fight in this, though, that seems really way too hard to me. Like, I started playing the single player, and then I got to that boss, I'm like, how the heck am I supposed to do this? But, I don't know, maybe there's an easier way to do it that I'm not seeing. I'll have to try again sometime. Space Station Silicon Valley. This is like a quirky 3D platformer where you play as these different, like, animal machine things. And this game's kind of notorious because it's impossible to 100% complete it without cheating because there's an item you can get that's not obtainable because of a glitch. But it is a good 3D platformer that a lot of people like, and I'll give it a shot sometime. That's all I can say about that. Star Fox 64 I've already talked about because this is my original copy, and the other one over there I got the box version later. This is the original copy I've had for years and years. Star Soldier Vanishing Earth. This is a shoot 'em up, and I think this is notorious for being one of the worst selling launch day games of all time. I played a little bit. I wasn't too impressed with it, but I know some people do like it, so maybe I'll give it another shot, and if I don't like it the second time, then maybe I'll just sell it. I don't know. But Star Soldier is actually a pretty famous series of shoot 'em ups. I don't have a lot of them. I think that might even be the only one. Star Wars Episode 1 Battle for Naboo. This is another one I had when I was young. I played this a lot when I was younger, a lot with the cheat codes, actually. I did like to use cheat codes in certain games quite a bit. This was one of them. And it's a pretty good kind of a follow-up to Star Wars Rogue Squadron, only instead of just air missions, there are a lot of ground missions where you use like cars, like vehicles and stuff. And it seems pretty good for what it is. You don't exactly follow the story of Star Wars Episode 1. You like do a side story of characters that are doing other things that aren't in the focus of where the movie was at during that time. But, good game. I do like it. And maybe I'll play it fully as an adult, like without cheat codes. But I don't know. We'll see. Then Star Wars Episode 1 Racer. This is a pretty good racing game. I haven't played it too much, but I've played it some, and it's a cool, 64 has some pretty good racing games. This is one of them. Granted, the Dreamcast version is probably a little better. I don't have that version. But maybe I will get it someday and replace this one. I don't know. But I think this one might only be 2-player, though, which is unfortunate if that's true. Because I like these kinds of games to be 4-player. But it is a good racing game. At least if the movie wasn't that great, we could get that out of the movie. And Star Wars Episode 1 Shadows for the Empire. This was... I forget if this is like a sequel. Or I think this is like a sequel to the original trilogy. And like you follow a character that wasn't actually in the movies or something. This was a pretty popular game. And it's well known for having a really good Hoth speeder level. I've watched a video on this, and I know some of the later levels seem to be a bit rougher on the edges, but this is a pretty cool game. I do like Star Wars quite a bit, so at some point I'll try this game out more and, see, have my own opinion on it, my own take. Super Mario 64 Rumble Pack Edition. I can't believe this didn't get released in America. So this is just basically Super Mario 64 only is compatible with the 64 Rumble Pack. And, why didn't we get this? Why didn't we get this as the Player's Choice release for the original version? I don't know, but... yeah, we didn't. Tetris Sphere. This is like a weird 3D Tetris game where there's a circle and you have to place the blocks on the circle to eliminate them. And I tried playing this once last year, and actually it was a little more than a year ago, but I was so confused at how this game works. I'm gonna need to look at the manual or a walkthrough or something to actually understand the mechanics of this game. It seems like an intriguing game. It's just not very beginner friendly if you're just going into it blind. Ocarina of Time we've already talked about. This is my original cartridge from way back in the day. That's why I have that here. Turok 2 Seeds of Evil. This is a game I played a lot, multiplayer with friends, actually cousins, back in the day. I keep saying that a lot because they had a 64 and they had a lot of games for it. And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the characters and their different catchphrases when you select them. And I never played the single player all that much. I tried it out recently. It did seem pretty intriguing, but I didn't play it all that long. I don't know if it's going back to nowadays with all the really good, more realistic, nicer graphics first-person shooters that there are now, but maybe it is. You can let me know. Waverace 64, another racing game, because 64 is just loaded with those, and yeah, you race on the waves. And I played. This is another one I played some back in the day. Haven't played it a lot now. This video is so repetitive. I'm sorry, but seems pretty cool. Can't really say that much more about it. Wayne Gretzky's 3D Hockey 98. Really liked this game a lot. I played it back in the day and I liked it. Then I played it again a few years ago or something. I was like, dang, this game is really good. This game's aged well. It's just a lot of fun, frantic, arcadey hockey action by the folks at Midway who are really good at that sort of thing. And you can kind of play a little more simulation-like if that's what you like, or you can be like me and just play the silly arcade rules that aren't anything like real hockey. And it's just a lot of fun. If you like really good fast-paced action, even if hockey isn't really your thing, then this is definitely worth playing even today. It's better than the PS1 version. WCW Mayhem. This is another game that I have pretty much for nostalgia. I can't really comment too much on how good of a wrestling game it is, but I have nostalgia for it. That's all I'm going to say about that. Because I've said the same thing over and over way too much. WCW versus NWO World Tour. Now, this is a game that is also a nostalgia game, but I have played this one some now and again, and it's definitely not... Definitely. How many times can I say definitely? It's not the best wrestling game on the 64 because the ones that came after it, like WWF No Mercy and WrestleMania 2000, are just better. They just improve the engine and stuff. But I still enjoy going back to this one just kind of to see the roots, if nothing else, and playing as the wrestlers that aren't in the other ones. And kind of the same thing goes with WCW NWO Revenge. This one added a little more things that weren't in the previous game, but this is the same people who made World Tour, and it's got a good solid gameplay engine. It's not. I would definitely prefer to play No Mercy, but this one I do like to have in the library anyway. And then finally we have Wipeout 64, and it's another one of those 3D racing games, futuristic racing games, and this one seems good. And it's just, this is so repetitive, man. I'm so sorry, but I don't have that much else to say. I do want to comment on all these games, but sometimes that's all I have to say is the same comment for the same ones, the same types of games. And then finally, there's one more cart. Actually, it's another one of those where I have the box over there, but I have my original loose copy over here. WCW No Mercy. Maybe I'll have to take out the ones that I have duplicates of over there and store them in a separate place so I'll have more room in the shelf or something. But anyway, that was my very probably boring, hopefully not, video on my loose N64 carts. Stay tuned because what is coming up next? I think Game Boy Color is coming up next, and if I'm wrong, shoot me. But if you're not shooting me, then you will be watching me talk about my Game Boy games. Have a great day, everybody. I'm Samurai Sam. Peace out.